Hello. Welcome to another episode of the Mandi Show. Today we just got a calm little yap session for you guys today. I know it's been a while, but yeah, I just wanted to talk about something that's kind of been bothering me for a little bit, just slightly. It doesn't agitate me in the least bit, but I do feel like a lot of us need to like reevaluate the way that not only the way that we listen to music, but the way that we interact with it and the way that we talk about it. Because I feel like a lot of people now are not acting like music fans, or they're not acting like enjoyers of whatever craft. They're now acting like, accountants and shareholders in a sense that I don't know if it's due to being, I guess, parasocial or whatever, living vicariously through these artists, but like let's say for instance you say you don't like a song, you can't say you don't like a song anymore, especially when it comes to certain artists and certain fandoms. You can't talk about production, you can't talk about writing, emotion, whatever you feel about the song, you can't do that anymore. Like however the performance made you feel, because now somebody immediately they're gonna pull out a freaking graph and tell you about how well the song did, telling you about how many records were sold in okay, we don't do records anymore, but like units, I guess, oh, it sold 300 units, 300k units in the first week. Oh, it has 17 billion streams. Oh, my favorite artist has been, you know what I mean? Like if you bring up a point about an artist in order to nullify it, they'll bring up how successful the artist is or how successful the song is. It's kind of I don't know, bro, because like I'm talking about the music, right? I'm talking about the music itself. I'm not really talking about all that other stuff. Why are you coming in bringing freaking graphs and statistics to a hoops discussions? We are talking about, for example, Messi's like undeniable dribbling ability and his technical ability, and you are out here talking about some other player. You're talking about how many goals they scored. It's just something that I feel like we all need to talk about. It's not a rant per se, but when did listening to music become, a statistics competition? I kind of have a reason, an answer for that question, I guess. But yeah, you're gonna have to wait until the end of the episode. But yeah, what's up, guys? I hope you guys are good. Welcome back to the Mandi Show. No, it's been a while, but today I wanted to talk about something that has been bothering me. I'm not going to be talking about a specific artist. I'm going to be mentioning examples, but this episode is not particularly focused on one singular subject. So yeah, I might mention Drake, I might mention Kendrick, but this is not a targeted video, or at least not targeted towards a specific artist. It's really targeted at fans. This, which is like really just where most of my issues stem from, which is culture, how people, their relationships with songs are these days, because I feel like along the way, a lot of people stopped listening to music and just started, keeping score, and they're not engaging critically with the art that they consume, or they're not engaging with it in a way that is intelligent. And I think really the Kendrick and Drake situation kind of exposed that in a way a lot better than anything I've seen in years, right? So just like talk about the shift from listening to winning or whatever. But one thing I've noticed is that like a lot of music discussions, they don't really stay music discussions anymore. They kind of snowball, or I don't know what is the word for it, but it all just turns into something else, right? Like for example, like I can criticize an album, I can criticize a song, I can say the writing is lazy, I can say the rollout was crap, I can say the production, it was not interesting, I wasn't interested, or just simply talk about how certain songs in the album didn't connect with me. And instead of somebody, responding to my, my actual criticism, they'll hit me with statistics. Who do you know that dropped 3 albums in one day? This album sold 500K first week. It debuted at number one. It broke streaming records. It's like, bro, I don't give a shit about that. I don't care. Can we engage critically about? Can you like respond to what I just said? Because like you can say that, and I'll be like, oh, okay, and what's that got to do with what I just said? What exactly does that have to do with anything, really? Yeah, like a lot of people, I feel like are making confusing popularity and quality. Popularity and quality haven't, I don't know, they have a very interesting relationship with each other, but they've never been the same thing. Like for example, let's say for example, McDonald's. Take your McDonald's. They sell more burgers than whatever restaurant down the road, for example. But does that actually mean that McDonald's is the better burger? I don't think so. I can go to a local burger spot and I get more bang for my buck. Just for lack of better terms. So that doesn't actually make it the better burger. It just has more PR. It sells more. It's the bigger machine or whatever. It's just more popular. I don't know. A song can be commercially successful and at the same time be artistically brilliant. Kendrick Lamar's "We Gonna Be Alright" artistically brilliant, commercially successful. A lot of Drake songs artistically brilliant, very commercially successful. Right? A song can also be commercially successful and be artistically mediocre. These things happen. They're not mutually exclusive things. But somehow I think we've reached a point where commercial success is like the one bar, the one measuring stick, and that's what we use as the basis for arguments. And it's weird because we are talking about art, and it just makes discussions surrounding songs and music and all of that. It just makes it less fun to engage with because it's a half brain dead discussion, right? It's not based on anything artistic or like it lacks artistic. Damn, is there such a thing as artistic merit? I don't know, but it lacks that. Like I did mention Drake and Kendrick. I'm gonna talk about it again because I think it was that whole beef thing was, what do they call it? It was a canon event just for hip hop, like for music overall, right? The Kendrick and the Drake battle kind of showed this perfectly. For example, like if I were to criticize Drake's bars, his pens, and I would say like his beef, or not his beef, but like his diss tracks are not on par with Kendrick's, people will like start talking about career statistics. They'll start talking about how well Kendrick didn't have a number one hit until he started working with Drake or until he started beefing with Drake. What are you saying about the diss tracks though? They'll talk about monthly listeners, they'll talk about monthly records, the certifications, all that streaming milestones and all that bullshit. It's as if I honestly don't care about any of that. Like I genuinely, I, you can't pay me. Okay, you can pay me to care. You can. If anybody wants me to react to their music and pretend that I like it, listen, I'm putting it out there. But I'm just saying, we're not arguing about who sold more records. We're talking about the quality of the music. Who has the better diss track? A lot of people were arguing about songs. Others were talking about things that had nothing to do with the songs. And me personally, this is just nothing to do with the main topic. A little bit of a tangent, but it's related slightly. But a lot of people were like basing their, I guess, allegiance in it was like based off of like who has the moral high ground. And for me, I didn't give a shit about any of that because I felt like it was mostly the kettle calling the pot black. In a sense, I didn't really care about the moral or it all felt like, I guess, a dick fight, a sword fight with their dicks or whatever, where one was saying one is this, one was saying the other is that. I didn't really care about that. I cared about who made their point the most creatively. I didn't care if it was true or not. I was looking at it like it's a piece of fiction. Anyways, yeah, moving on, like back to the topic. Imagine you're like now in a football match, right? And or rather, let's talk about it in a boxing. You're in a boxing. You're watching a boxing match, and you're responding to every punch. This person is in response to each punch that another fight lands. One person pulls out the fighter's bank statement. Manny Pacquiao is putting belt to ass on freaking Floyd Mayweather, and you're like, whoa, Floyd has more money. He fucks better bitches. He has bigger cars. Floyd is this. Floyd is that. You know what I mean? It's just that's basically what was happening. The conversation would be about lyrics. Response would be about numbers. The conversations would be about who has, the better execution. People would do. People will talk about something that had nothing to do with the music. You respond with numbers, and I really genuinely I do not. It just makes for a less fun conversation. And after a while, you start wondering if people are even discussing the same thing anymore. And yeah, before I lose you guys, if you guys are still watching, you're a champion. Champion. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't. Mandi Show is back on the road, baby. And we're keeping it simple. Keeping it simple. All right. But I want to talk about why fans hide behind statistics, because I think there's actually like a psychological reason for this. And that reason is that taste is vulnerable. Why would I say that? Well, I think taste is vulnerable in the sense that numbers aren't vulnerable themselves. If I say, for example, let's say, if I say to you, this album is incredible. Someone can disagree with me. If I say a song changed my life, somebody can laugh at me and say, "Whoa, what the hell? What what do you mean change your life and moved you emotion?" They can laugh at me, or whatever I say a verse moved me emotionally. Someone can tell me I'm reaching. But if I say to you an artist sold millions of records, there's not really anything to argue with. Although a lot of people will find a reason to argue with that. They'll be like, "Oh, it's botted. It was featured. Oh, he featured someone bigger, or this or that or that or that." But the point is, you can't. It's objective. There's a million. If it says million, it's a million. It's safe. It's a safe basis to base anything on, to say that, okay, this is objectively the truth. This is an objective fact. He sold millions of records. Can't really argue with that. It's measurable. It's tangible. It's not really tangible, but it makes sense. You get me? It can't change. And I think a lot of people have become more comfortable defending stats than defending their actual music taste. Because now with your music taste, back to what I said about it being vulnerable, you have to explain yourself. You have to stand on your opinion. You have to now do what I do all the time. I break down lyrics and I say what it means to me and how it resonates with me. You have to really expose yourself in a way. And it doesn't have to be an extreme way, but at the end of the day, you have to open up and be like, yeah, boom, this is why I like this song. This is what it does to me emotionally, mentally, physically. But a chart position is objective. It does all the work for you. It's an undisputed championship. But, I think it's also, another proponent of this is the algorithm. The algorithm obviously loves this shit. The streaming era, it made this shit worse, or it made it possible, because we don't just get music now. You get a shit ton of information, a whole lot of information. They give you all the numbers, first day streams, first week sales, monthly listeners, Spotify milestones. But what else do they give you? Billboard debuts, all the records that the song or album broke, achievements that have been unlocked, all of that now starts feeling like, I don't know, like a video game in a sense. And when everything becomes like measurable, you can measure everything. Obviously you're gonna start competing now. The artist that I listen to is better than the artist that you listen to, and just for that fact, I'm better than you. My ears are better than you. My taste is better than yours. You know what I mean? How people can start competing at some level. It can be fun. I've engaged in that. Obviously, it's nice. It's fun. Whatever. But it kind of takes something away from the music. Sometimes the conversation around the song now is bigger than the song itself, and people can like celebrate these stats, these charts positions that I freaking mentioned. They will talk about that before they've actually sat down and really listened to the music. Like, you listen to a song and they'll look at who's listening to the song, how many people are listening to the song. Now, I think it kind of gets in the way of understanding the song better, understanding the artist's perspective better, and it just makes the future bleak for me. Because then, why make good music? Why try make good music at all? It's kind of insane to think about it. The song came out 5 minutes ago. What exactly are we celebrating? What point has been made? What is it? What have you even tried to understand the message that the artist is trying to, share with us? I don't know, but the strangest part about this, maybe not the strangest, but it is a strange thing, is that none of these achievements belong to you. You do know that, right? You do realize none of these achievements belong to you, these packs, the streams, the Billboard records, the certifications, yet people defend them like it's their family heirloom. The way that people talk about these achievements of these artists, you'd swear it's their own personal legacy that is attached to these songs, but it's someone else's streaming numbers. You know, it's just that it's always been kind of interesting to me. It's this in the same way that football fans say "we" when they talk about their football teams, speaking French. But even that I can understand because you know it's a team sport. Football is a team sport in a way because you are invested in a team's trials and tribulations. You are invested in its development. You watch footballers come in at like 16, 17 years old in this club, and you watch them become men. So it makes sense in that way, but also there is still a line between fandom and being, what's the word? Mandi's word of the day, parasocial. There's a difference between that. And I guess in saying that I understand it in football, now that I'm thinking about it, it's kind of the same thing that's happening, what I've been talking about in music, but it's still different. It's still different. It's still kind of weird. It's still kind of weird because when people watch football, you can see them become fully immersed in the sport of it all. You can see them fully become engaged. They engage with the tactics that the coach is using. They engage with the way that players are being used, and like it's just you don't kind of see that with people. And in music, it doesn't feel like they actually listen to music to enjoy it, rather than listening to it to get a leg up on another person, like that's like on the internet, if that makes sense. Because music fandom in that case starts feeling less like appreciation, and now it's starting to feel like sports tribalism starts to mimic that. I guess that's where these two examples start to collide in a sense and become one. But in the music side of things, now people aren't asking, is this good? And rather they're asking, okay, who did he beat? Who did my favorite artist beat in the charts? And I think that's a completely different mindset. I'm not saying everybody that does this doesn't engage with the music. I've seen people that are like pop stans that will herald their favorite pop stars' success, chart success, their sales, and all of that, but also genuinely display a genuine enjoyment of the craft, singing the songs at the top of their lungs, word for word, bar for bar, and genuinely displaying an understanding of the subject matter in the music. So yeah, but yeah, I'm going to end this with a question. Are you alone? Now, the question is, when you listen to music, what are you actually listening for? Are you listening for the feeling, the writing, the production, the feelings, the emotions of it all? Or are you waiting for the next chart update? Are you waiting for the next post that says X artist beat X artist on the charts? This song spent this many days on the charts. Is that what you're waiting for? Because if the first thing you mention about a song to me is how many streams it got, or how many albums were sold, then to me, you don't talk music to me. You're not, like, we're not having the same conversation. I will never really talk about streams and all of that, because I genuinely, when I listen to music, I listen for the art of it. Whatever the intended, I guess, reaction the artist like wanted me to feel. So if the artist wanted me to dance, how exactly did they do that? What did they achieve? If they wanted me to think, what in their writing suggests that they wanted this to be, a thinker, an emotional song, and how successful are they at doing that? Obviously, I'm not thinking these things while I'm listening to the music, but I will think about it afterwards, in hindsight. Yeah, if your first response to your favorite artist being criticized is bringing us graphs and spreadsheets, it's like you're not listening now. You're keeping score now. But yeah, if you want to engage further in this conversation before I start yapping my breath off, my head off, whatever, talk until I lose breath, whatever. Let me know what you guys think. Continue this discussion maybe in the comment section. Hit a like. There's this new feature called Hype. I don't know if I qualify. I'm a small creator, but if I do, check it out. Hype the video up so that Facebook not Facebook, WhatsApp, not WhatsApp. No, I am posting this on YouTube so that YouTube can share this with more people. Jeez Louise. Yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed listening to me speak. But yeah, I'll check you guys on the next one.